This image. I don't like it. I don't like it because if you are only a finger deep into the lore of the Covenant and the Tau Empire, it makes sense. After all, they are similar in many ways. Both are commonwealths of multiple alien species. They have strict hierarchy, both have a ruling caste who manipulates everyone in the system, they have advanced technology, and both like to use word great a lot. Greater good, great journey. Oh, also, a minor thing. They are both disgusting Xenos who stand against the indomitable human spirit. They hate us. They despise us. They are abominable aliens whose only goal is to dominate and murder humanity. They are evil force of darkness. Or at least one of them is. And for once, I don't mean faction from 40k. The Covenant is far more evil than the Tau Empire. Not that big of an accomplishment, it has to be said. But they have accomplished something far more impressive. They are, somehow, even more naive than the Tau. Now that is an accomplishment. The most overconfident of ethereals couldn't hold a candle to the prophets themselves. There is no comparison. The greatest atrocities of the Tau are child's play compared to what the Covenant was doing, not to mention the scale and frequency of those atrocities. And most importantly of all, Great Journey is incompatible with the greater good. In fact, if those two factions met, they would become enemies really damn quick. I can guarantee that if the Tau were transported into Halo universe, they would stand shoulder to shoulder with the UNSC, rather than to help the Covenant in any way, shape or form. But before we begin, remember to like, comment, subscribe, ring the bell, the whole shtick. You know what to do. If you want to support me, join my Patreon. I run a special offer, upgrading unpaid to paid subscription is 50% off to the end of the year. You get to vote in polls, get access to additional content, and early access to videos. If you want to donate money directly, use Ko-fi. Both links are in the description below. Thank you for your support. With that out of the way, let's jump right in. So, this might surprise you, but for all the accusations of being naive, weak, and blind to the grim darkness of the Milky Way galaxy, Tau aren't idiots. I know, shocking. The fastest technologically advancing species known in the galaxy that managed to endure over 3 centuries of contact with the Imperium and keep steady expansion through those years is somehow not made out of total imbeciles. No one saw that one coming. Take a few breaths to steady yourself after this unexpected and shocking revelation. Now, what might be less shocking, the Covenant is full of total idiots. The worst kind of idiots, because they are intentionally ignorant or blind to hard facts that stare them in the face. Not because they don't understand the facts, but because they don't fit with their perspective of a world. It's actually hard to find a comparison because Tau aren't half as self-deluded as the Covenant. But let's take a simple example. We all know that Tau didn't initially believe that Titans of the Imperium were real. They thought it was propaganda. But after they found out that they were real, they didn't keep denying their existence. They saw it as a problem and started developing solutions to deal with them. They didn't look away and continue to repeat, "You are not real," when a walking church was staring them down. They built dedicated Titan killers, looked up into the eyes of a god machine and the greater gun at its head and said, "We are going to put you down like a dog you are." And they did, multiple times. And it's not like they found only one solution to that problem, but a number of ways to kill a Titan. To surprise of everyone, actually putting work into solving a problem actually works. And then we have the Covenant, where their screw-up was on far bigger scale. They were met with a shocking revelation that the Halo rings, things they believed were tools that would allow them to accomplish their great journey, turned out to be weapons of mass destruction, of annihilation on galactic scale. And what did they do when they saw this? They said, "Nope, this is a tool that will help us to accomplish the great journey. We know it's true because we believe in it." The AI created by the Forerunners told them that they were wrong to their face, and they still didn't believe it. From their perspective, a mechanical angel, a creation of their gods, told them that they were making a mistake, and they still ignored the warning. To say that the Covenant is full of naive, delusional idiots who in their zealotry can't see a shred of reason is an understatement of a century. Now, a small question. Does anyone actually believe that Tau would make the same mistake? To be faced with the truth that they were wrong and yet cling to it? It's not like they were worshipping Zinj all that time and had to face the horrible reality that the greater good is a lie. Even Commander Farsight, officially traitor to the Tau Va, still follows a variant of this ideology, with the main difference being the lack of ethereals in the system. The system and ideology that, to surprise of everyone, works. And seeing how many Xenos stand shoulder to shoulder with the Tau against the darkness of the galaxy, it clearly worked out quite nicely for the Tau and their empire. Maybe you could say that their diplomatic ventures were naive. But look at what allies they gained because they weren't rushed with deciding who could join their empire. Cannibalistic Krut, despite their practices, are one of the least malicious species in the entire galaxy. They are also, in my opinion, one of the wisest species in the Milky Way galaxy. Vicious Vespid, despite problems with communication between species, turned out to be extremely important for the Tau. Grieving Tarelians, obsessed with honor and tradition after their home world was destroyed by the Imperium, were given a new home, despite how suspicious they were of everyone after this tragedy. And lastly, humans, Guevesa, a species that created the Imperium of Man, that stands as one of the major foes of the Tau Empire, thrive within its borders. Many are already native to it, despite clear disgust and hatred Tau to have to the Imperium and their practices. Humans still can find peace within their empire. Yes, there is exception with the fourth sphere of expansion, Tau going crazy after seeing demons and the goddess Te-Auva, becoming genocidal maniacs, but their actions were stopped by the Ethereals. So I can't really compare the actions of one half-mad general to the entire leadership of the Covenant. And yes, I know that Tau tried diplomacy with the Orcs, Drukhari, or even the Tyranids, but when many fans of 40k laugh at Tau for being stupid or naive, they forget that Tau can't open a computer and look up what's a Drukhari. They don't have knowledge from the wiki. And as I already mentioned before, Krut looks scary and have scary practices, and yet they became Tau allies. Dark Eldar looking scary never was a good counter-argument in this discussion. With orcs, it's simpler. They can't talk, and while savage, they do seem to have some kind of culture. How could Tau know that orcs are a rogue bioweapon created by the Old Ones 60 million years ago? With Tyranids, again, Vespid, Tau know of species with which they struggled to communicate with, but problems with establishing contact is no reason to not try it. Not for the Tau. But, more importantly, after diplomacy failed and Tau realized that there was no diplomatic solution, what actions did they take? Did they send shipments of guns to the orcs? Did they offer entire planetary populations to the Drukhari? Did they put a ribbon on a juicy planet and let the Tyranids eat it? No! They put all those species on incompatible with the greater good list and went in to eradicate them. And people forget that Tau did genocide hostile species before. Arakan are basically extinct, and they were a major threat when Farsight was still a young warrior. A hostile species similar to the Arachnids from Starship Troopers were marked as an enemy, and since we don't hear much of Arakan today, they are either in hiding or were wiped out. Compared to the Tau Empire, the Covenant works more like the Imperium in this regard. Civilizations that seem useful are assimilated, forced to join, or straight up enslaved. Those that prophets don't like get wiped out completely. Grants had an entire rebellion to not be treated like slaves and cannon fodder. They are treated slightly better now than before, but let's be honest, their situation isn't enviable either. Huragok, the engineers, those poor bastards were seen more as equipment than people, despite being intelligent species of pacifists. And what did Covenant do with those masters of technology of incredible intellect? They made them into slaves and even used as suicide bombers. I know 40k fans like to talk about mind control and manipulation in the Tau Empire, but come on! Whatever evil is hiding behind the mask of the greater good is nothing to what the Covenant was doing. There are many non-combatant species in the Tau Empire. And guess what? They aren't used as suicide bombers. For all the influence of the Tau and their ideology, they don't tend to enslave people. Even the Vespid, who many suspect are under mind control of the Tau, still have their culture. We know it. We have a bit of a story where an old Vespid laments that younger members of his species adopt more and more of Tau technology and culture. I'm sorry, old-timer. Globalism is real. I didn't even start on the genocidal war on humanity only because humans were reclaimers of the forerunners. If faith was most important for the Covenant, they should have welcomed humans as saviors, as lost guides of the great journey that could lead them on the path to divinity. But no, humans were being slaughtered en masse, their planets glassed with little to no regard for either population or environment of a said world. No offer of surrender was given, no chance to join the Covenant. The prophets couldn't let anyone but them to hold power. So instead of a welcome, they sent one message. Your destruction is the will of the gods, and we are their instrument. Now tell me, can this sentence be slightly altered so it would sound like a declaration from an imperial commander? Let's see. Your destruction is the will of a god emperor, and we are his instrument. I replaced two words. Two words are the difference between the Covenant and the Imperium of Man. And some people really think that Covenant and the Tau could be allies. Really? Tau Empire, who use diplomacy before waging war, who tries to assimilate other species through trade and diplomacy rather than warfare, who welcome people coming from hostile states as long as they follow their laws, who are famous for doing their best for limiting lasting damage to environment of different planets, even those they fight over, would be allies with genocidal zealot maniacs who glass worlds left, right and center because they couldn't be bothered to fight the enemy face to face, who slaughter civilians and ignore all offers of surrender? Really? Who is the naive one here? Because I can guarantee you that the moment Tau Empire met with the Covenant and learned about what they do, the Covenant would become their enemy number one, even above the Imperium, because the Covenant is twisted vision of their Commonwealth, a grim parody of their idea of a greater good. And best part? I am more than certain that they could score a win. We know how Sankheli started to doubt word of the prophets regarding genocide of the humanity as the war went on. Human bravery and tenacity alone managed to do that. This led to prophets stripping elites of their honorable position and then went in trying to exterminate them, replacing them with brutes. A single war, where the Covenant was the aggressor, broke their backs. The Tau Empire, on the other hand, managed to withstand multiple invasions from the Imperium of Man, Orcs and Tyranids. They are also far better armed than UNSC. I think they would be able to hold their own, for a time at least. Also, they have watercast. Diplomats that can turn worlds of the Imperium into members of the Tau Empire, in places where xenophobia is more common than bread or drinking water. Does anyone think that they wouldn't manage to influence the Covenant, to rattle the fragile balance of their system. Oh boy, Watercast would have so much fun with dismantling Covenant from inside out. Grand Rebellion 2 Electric Boogaloo, the sequel everyone was waiting for, would be very much possible. They are also quite experienced in manipulating or directing rogue elements against their enemies. Like, let's say, a certain group of banished warriors who form an alliance of mercenaries, rogues and pirates under a leadership of some kind of strong leader who hates the Covenant. Oh hey look, it's Atriox, leader of the Banished, a massive alliance of mercenaries, rogues and pirates. I'm sure this pragmatic leader wouldn't mind a bit of Tau support in the name of beating Covenant's ass. There is potential with the species used for maintenance and technology as well. Yan Mi, the drones, and Huragok, the engineers, are basically responsible for maintaining the technology of the entire Covenant. King Jar, the jackals, while usually working as mercenaries, can have knack for technology. They aren't as important, but they can be useful. People forget that elites of the Covenant delegated the task of maintaining their technology to the species that are low in their hierarchy. After the Human Covenant War, the Sangheli didn't know how to maintain much of the Covenant technology, because the races that were taking care of that thing weren't around to be ordered around. Compare this approach to the Tau Empire, to the position of the Earth caste in Tau society. Everyone knows that Tau Empire stands on the shoulders of the Earth caste, that it was built with the hands of their workers, that their technology was developed thanks to their scientists, that their food was grown by their farmers, that their wounds are treated by their medics. Tau Empire wouldn't exist without the Earth caste, and Tau are well aware of that. Water and Fire caste could argue all day if a given world should be secured with diplomacy or firepower, but both would need to turn to the Earth caste, knowing that they wouldn't succeed without their work. No world can be convinced to join the Tau without goods produced by the Earth caste. No world can be conquered without weapons and machines built by the Earth caste. And neither can be transported to the said world without vessels built and maintained by the Earth caste. Everyone knows that things work because Earth caste works. Is there any doubt that all species in the Covenant who are used like slaves, cheap labor, or equipment wouldn't prefer to join the Tau Empire and get the respect they deserve? The treatment of those species would be enough of a reason for the Tau Empire to see the Covenant as an enemy. If the Tau Empire showed up during Human Covenant War, they would support humanity. That might surprise you, but Tau don't hate humanity. They hate the Imperium and humans who follow it without question, the xenophobic, genocidal zealots. Those who aren't that different from zealots from the Covenant. And let's be honest, for all the crazy stuff Oni was doing, UNSC and UEG are far more reasonable than the Imperium of Man. By the Tauva, rational humans. They don't even fear AI and don't use lobotomized slaves as targeting systems in their missiles. No incense or skulls on their ships. No one red robe cyborg in sight. No screaming about God Emperor. I can imagine that watercasts who were dealing with the Imperium in the past would cry tears of joy interacting with normal humans. Does anyone doubt that Tau would be happy to enter diplomatic relations with the United Earth government? Not only they are innocent defenders against genocidal maniacs, they are very much in the right for fighting the Covenant. Halo rings are weapons, not pathways to godhood. Humanity figured it out in a short amount of time. I'm sure Earthcast would realize the true purpose of Halo rings as well. And when they do, the war against the Covenant isn't just war because of ideological differences or in defense of innocent species. It's a war for survival of the entire galaxy. Tau wouldn't care about anything else but the preservation of life in the galaxy. The moment they find out, they would be all in. You might think that Earthcast created some insane stuff to stop the Imperium. Imagine what they could build the moment they hear the fate of the entire galaxy is at stake. Spartans are impressive soldiers, but imagine what could they accomplish with weapons supplied by the Tau. 360 no-scope with a rail rifle might be too much for the Covenant to handle. They can bring out as many scarabs as they want. They might be the size of Titans, but they aren't shielded. Most of the models, at least. And Tau have dedicated Titan killers, like Storm Surge or Supremacy, not to mention Manta or Tiger Shark. In the Void, Tau have an advantage in range thanks to ion cannons, not to mention that it's been noted that Covenant naval vessels are quite inefficient. Long-range firepower or even dedicated boarding actions could cripple even the bigger of Covenant vessels. Supercarriers would be a problem, but the UNSC managed to take few of them down. I'm sure Tau could do as well, especially with dedicated commando stealth and battlesuit teams being deployed. If the Covenant fell before the resistance of humanity, they would fall before the Tau. So yeah, I think I've made my point. Not only Tau and Covenant would be enemies, but Tau and UNSC would be allies. And that power duo would beat the ever-loving hell out of the Covenant. They would deliver them a promise of great journey straight into jaws of oblivion. Imagine the team-ups we could get. Ovessa and Dr. Halsey are both geniuses of incredible skill. I tremble at the thought of what these two could come up with when working together. If you put Johnson and Brightsword as a team, you have something beyond of an explosive duo. These two can come up with the boldest of strategies and execute them with style. Okais, as the commando of the Tau Empire, would reach understanding with the Master Chief. And God help the Covenant if they are sent together to take someone or something down. But yeah, I think that's about everything I had to say. Before you leave, remember to like, comment, subscribe and ring-ding that bell. If you can, support me on Patreon. I would appreciate it very much. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you enjoyed. Now, my dear viewers and listeners, remember, wherever you are, whatever you do, try to enjoy yourself while you can. I wish you most heretical day. Ta-ta!